what's up first? Grab some creepy crawlies from the research facility, or dig up a fuel cell for the FTL drive?
I'll collect our biomass samples first.
Though no longer operational, there is a tram line leading from the central transit hub out to the research facility.
Understood.
So when Jack eventually returns with these volatile materials, where exactly do we plan to store them?
I believe I can convert elements of the refueling depot to suit our needs.
Need a hand?
Why, yes, Captain. Your assistance would be most appreciated.
Anything's better than just sitting here. Come on, Popcorn. Let's get ready to head out. Good luck out there. See you soon.
This appears to be another form of the biomass. It detects my presence, much like the other specimens encountered thus far.
We classify it as a reticulated B biomass organism, but most people just call them webs.
Aside from their namesake membrane, webs can also be recognized by an additional nodule. It should be quite distinct. Careful, Jack. There's another form of the biomass nearby. You may have seen them before. Elongated structures with an affinity for spore dispersion.
Indeed, cysts. Their rapid regrowth, even after bursting, makes them particularly dangerous.
Oh, and Jack, that distinct nodule I mentioned? Think of it as a sensor. If it detects you, it will stimulate the web's expansion reflex. Just something to keep in mind as you explore the station.
I've located a stalled tram car. There are casualties inside. Both victims of severe biomass infestation.
Any idea who they are, Juno?
I'm afraid I'm unable to discern their identities from here. And unfortunately, the station's transit logs are corrupted. I can't access passenger manifests. The only way to identify the victims would be by scanning their personal data boards. Unfortunately, our access is blocked by the biomass. As we currently do not possess any means of bypassing the infestation, I suggest we move on. Scanning archive. Experimental maneuvering thruster optimization found. Not quite enough data to fully replicate it, though. You're approaching the biomass research facility. This is where the outbreak originated.
We're sure there's some contained biomass on hand for Jack to retrieve.
Logs indicate 1 or 2 containers should still be in storage. However, reaching them may be difficult due to the entire facility being under lockdown.
The tram entrance will undoubtedly be your only way in.
Acknowledged. The facility appears to be in fairly poor condition, but there is at least some power flowing.
Due to the generator being restored.
Unfortunately, I'm still unable to access any systems further into the facility. Power flow stops at the entry terminal. It appears that the systems are outright disconnected, including the physical entry bridge. Jack, you'll need to reconnect those systems to gain entry to the facility.
Copy that. This device looks vaguely similar to the cranes we saw in the transit hub.
Good eye, Jack. That's because it's an early version of the stasis field technology used by those cranes, as well as our cargo drones and many other systems. As you can imagine, the ability to manipulate objects without direct contact has significant advantages when dealing with the biomass.
This appears to be some sort of focusing device. I haven't seen anything like it elsewhere on Chiron Station.
It's actually a prototype of the technology our containment units use to keep Dix pacified.
As in the technology that shorted out while Jack and I were trapped in the engineering bay.
Yes, though that was due to the power cycling abnormally. I assure you, it's usually quite stable.
Yeah, one would hope.
Somewhat odd to leave this case empty.
It's fairly straightforward. Our work was never finished.
A scale model of the FTL drive on Dr. Harlan's ship. Was the drive developed here?
Not exactly. While the few FTL drives still in service were refitted here, the original design was actually reverse engineered from the FTL drives left behind aboard the Estrella. That was done by your former employer, in fact.
Wait, Atlas built them?
Indeed. Before the company dissolved, of course.
So Atlas reverse engineered their own technology from the future?
Technically, yes.
Ah, how perfectly normal and not at all confusing.
This bridge is currently disconnected, as part of the lockdown procedures.
Correct. The doors won't open until both sides of the bridge are fully extended.
Did they get everyone out?
According to these logs...
No. Not everyone got out.
It seems someone was emphatic about maintaining the lockdown. I'm guessing the console would have controlled the bridge.
Affirmative. I'm not seeing any backup controls in the blueprints, unfortunately. It's possible the cave contains systems not listed in the schematics. It may be worth a quick investigation.
I believe this is a manual activation switch.
It should restore power to the immediate area, as well as the rest of the research facility. Just keep in mind that you'll also be awakening any dormant biomass within.
Re-establishing main generator connection. Be advised, Class 3 power fields will become active. Dormancy will be nullified.
Hey, Jack. I know you've got this, as always, but... by restoring power, we're undoing something that was put in place as a die-hard safety precaution.
We're certain this is the only place we're going to find a contained biomass?
Assuming these fragmented station logs are correct? Yes.
Well, that's reassuring.
Finalizing connection.
Connection established. Now receiving power readings throughout the facility. Jack, once you have the bridge fully extended, you should be able to access the facility proper. Though I suspect some areas may have additional security requirements.
Nora, the research director, would have done everything she could to contain the outbreak. But there is no containing it. This was an eventuality.
It's fortunate that your disagreement over priorities led you to be elsewhere when the outbreak occurred.
It's only fortunate if I'm right.
These are auxiliary controls for the extension bridges.
Correct. They should allow you to extend the bridge now that the power is restored.
Bridge reconnection complete.
I'm heading back to the entry terminal.
Dr. Harlan, if these power readings are accurate, our suspicions appear confirmed.
What's that now? What suspicions?
Educated guess, rather.
Which is different how?
We were concerned that residual power currents may have allowed the biomass to continue spreading for some time after the lockdown.
Okay. And?
Webs have likely taken hold. Caution is advised, Jack.
Acknowledged. I'm crossing into the main facility now.
Copy that, Jack.
Biomass has taken hold here.
Given that it got this far, the rest of the facility will likely be much worse.
Will the fabricator still be operational?
Yes, at least enough that Jack should be able to reboot without issue.
In the security control room, I found a casualty.
According to logs, Adler Reyes.
We must have been trying to keep the scanners running to prevent the biomass from leaving the facility.
But if someone failed the scan...
They would have had to remain behind. Unfortunately, even the scanning room itself became contaminated.
You think that's how it spread to the rest of the station?
Most likely. With background contamination, the system would have had a difficult time producing accurate results.
Jack, you are now entering the facility's lobby. Biomass containment is located through the leftmost door.
This area appears to be locked down.
That's the test wing. We should focus on reaching the containment area.
A further casualty of the biomass. In the lobby.
Dr. Brianna Leamington.
She was one of our pathologists.
Another one of the web forms. I still have no way to bypass.
Then try the labs. The research they were doing there might prove useful.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find. There's some kind of added security here.
Dr. Everett Harlan reporting. Authorized laboratory access.
Voice-activated authorization. That's a smart security feature.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
There's a switch embedded in the wall here.
An emergency disconnect. Likely utilized as a means to curtail the outbreak.
They really did all they could to try and get the infestation under control.
They knew once it was out, they couldn't stop it. All they could do was buy time for everyone else on the station.
Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%.
These controls are running some sort of automated procedure.
The system is no longer reachable over the network. Cut off by the biomass, no doubt. It must be an old test, abandoned during the outbreak and resumed now that we've restored power.
Biological specimens.
The director was always in here. Dissecting, testing. She was tireless.
She must have had a cast iron stomach.
One of the toughest people I have ever known.
What sort of research were they doing?
The director was convinced a cure was impractical. So she poured everything into containment technology.
Did she have any luck?
When I left, she had everyone working on miniaturizing the insulation cloaking from our containment unit. I'm not sure how far they go.
This transparent aluminum is reinforced.
Unfortunately, that's still not enough to withstand concerted biomass growth.
I assume these microscopes were used to observe the biomass?
I believe so, yes.
Development of the biomass containment technology required research at the macro, micro, and even nanoscopic scales.
With these microscopes, the researchers would have been able to observe the effect of their containment technology in real time, with a more manageable sample size, of course.
It must have been a heavy responsibility to work so closely with live biomass samples.
It was not without its risks.
So, would you say it was more or less risky than intentionally infecting your own FTL drive?
If you have any less precarious solutions, Captain, I'm all ears.
The robotic arms in the test lab represent the cutting edge of the facility's research. They may be useful for navigating further into the facility.
Is this some type of emitter?
It looks to be a functional prototype. I knew they were close, but I didn't know they had moved into practical testing. The basic concept was to surround the biomass with a cloak of electromagnetic insulation, preventing energy from reaching you.
Kind of like using a blanket to smother a flame.
It did. The idea was to build these cloak emitters as a reactive defense against the biomass, to contain it.
I can see a wide range of applications. It's
It's a lead based, not a solution. I wish she could have seen that.
The glass is broken. I'm afraid your former workplace has seen better days, Doctor.
External spread was what breached the chamber.
Seems to me the entire facility became one giant test chamber.
And that too was breached.
I wonder if they moved this prototype into production.
Even if they did, it clearly wasn't enough to stop an outbreak. This is why we need a cure.
Is this a control interface?
That's right, for the robotic arm in the adjoining chamber. Use the holographic controls to adjust each part of the articulation.
Such versatile technology.
And it still wasn't enough.
Biomass at the exit neutralized.
It's possible I failed to foresee some of the cloak emitter's eventual implications.
Sounds like your research director was on the right track.
If I gave up, I could hardly ever pull her away from her work.
Dr. Harlan, if I may interject, the local data I'm seeing implies that the director's efforts to develop cloak emitters proceeded beyond prototyping. Portable versions were installed in some of the X3 medtech shells. Several of these shells appear to have been left behind in the medical wing.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
I believe it may be possible to fit Jack with a similar device, a portable cloak emitter.
What is involved?
I'll need you to retrieve the data from one of the medtech shells here. With that, I should be able to reconstruct the portable cloak emitter's design.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find. There's a room jutting into this cave. Could it be part of the biomass containment area?
Negative. The room you're seeing is part of the facility's integrity monitoring system, responsible for tracking any changes in the asteroid structure during excavation. For safety reasons, biomass containment is located much deeper in the facility. Jack, this is the primary examination room, where prototype cures were administered to volunteers. Dr. Harlan, you'll be pleased to know that your old workplace remains unaffected by the outbreak. Dr. Harlan?
That's good to hear, Juno. Thanks.
This log indicates a multitude of visitors. Some were children.
Yes, many of the station's personnel had families. Most of their children were suitably behaved. Some were not. Still, I hope they reached safety.
These medical beds were used for diagnostic scans?
And to monitor potential treatments. Many of my peers focused on post-diagnosis options.
What sort of options?
Pain management, transmission reduction. Though most patients with terminal diagnosis volunteered for cure research.
Wait. There are diagnoses that aren't terminal.
If the infection is limited to the extremities and has not yet penetrated the epidermis, amputation has a roughly 40% success rate.
In emergencies, the integrated cutter, equipped by several models of the X3 shell, including Jack's, can...
No. That's enough. Forget I asked.
This toy appears to have been left behind.
Brendan Lyons. It has to be. That boy was always leaving his toys about. A habit he does not appear to have corrected in my absence. I am glad he made it out, though. Perhaps not being able to return for it this time has taught him a lesson.
It's more likely he has simply fabricated a new one.
Shush, Juno.
There's a fair bit of data here. It should prove useful in our efforts to develop a cure. Good find, Jack. Jack, you'll need to enter the medical lab in order to find and scan any available medtech shells.
I'll need to manually open this door. I assume it was shut down as another precaution?
Most likely. If the medtech shells have data we can use to reconstruct a portable cloak emitter, it will be worth the risk.
I'm entering the medical lab.
Doctor, perhaps you should step away for a moment. I'm sure there's still plenty of output data to parse before we're ready to initiate the experiment.
She's here, isn't she? Juno.
More than likely. Yes.
Who? The research director?
I can handle it, Juno.
Are you certain?
I'm not looking away.
We have another casualty. This researcher seems to have been helping the other one.
Dr. Adriana Lay.
She was too young for this.
Who was this person?
Dr. Franklin Teller. A fellow geneticist.
You knew him?
I knew all of them.
A keypad for the duct. It may provide a means to circumvent some of this biomass, if I can find the code. This device indeed appears to be a portable cloak emitter. Juno, I believe your conjecture was correct.
Naturally. If you scan the shell's data port, I believe I can create a similar device for you. Ah, my suspicions were correct. They did develop a portable version of the cloak emitter. Unfortunately, the data contained in this shell is only partial. Jack, to complete the reconstruction, I'll need you to scan additional units.
Understood.
I've recovered her research. It also seems she received a message from Dr. McKenna with all of his access codes attached. Would you like me to play it?
Affirmative.
Beginning playback.
Hey, Adriana. I know I can count on you to look out for everyone. So I'm sending you my access codes. They should get you into my stuff and a few engineering areas. My spare rations, my playing cards, whatever else. If any of it helps even a little bit, please, take it. Share it. I figure it might make things a little more comfortable for you all.
Tram, prepared for departure.
Shit, I gotta go. I have no idea how to end this. Good luck? No. Goodbye.
End of message.
Could one of Dr. McKenna's codes work on that keypad Jack's?
I believe so, yes. Jack, I'll add the code to your ARM computer.
Access to the utility ducts granted. Moving through the vents now.
Tell me something, Doctor. How long does it take
What?
for the infection to run its course?
Once it becomes fully active, usually somewhere between 3 to 5 days. But most victims opt to expedite their end.
Right. So, how does the infection work once it becomes active? I mean,
The biomass drains energy directly from your cells. Your body is in the throes of widespread cellular decay. Major organ failure follows 12 to 18 hours later. But at least by then you are not in as much pain, since the infection has likely started feeding on the electrical signals traveling through your nervous system.
Excellent. That shell contained more data regarding the portable emitters. We'll need a good bit more to reconstruct the design, though. Scan complete. We still need more data. Interesting. Doctor, this shell has a log conversation regarding the director and your research.
Go ahead, Juno.
Beginning playback.
Alright, Unit 5, back to the lab. The director wants to run those simulations again.
Query. For what purpose?
I'm not sure. Dr. Harlan's ideas were intriguing, to say the least, but I suppose the director knows best. Go ahead and prep the simulations. I'll join you shortly.
Acknowledge, Dr. McKenna.
Huh. So the director eventually explored your theories after all.
I didn't expect she would continue it after I left. But without the biomass-based genetic material, it would have been as much of a dead end as containment. I just couldn't convince her.
I found another arm equipped with a cloak emitter, a backup safety measure.
More than likely, but that's the problem. The biomass can't be contained, no matter how many redundancies you put in place.
My reconstruction of the personal cloak emitter is nearly complete. One more scan should be sufficient.
Controls for the nearby cloak emitter. Fortunately, they're still operational.
Data collection complete. Finalizing tool reconstruction. Reconstruction complete. Please visit a fabricator to install your new cloak emitter.
I found another casualty of the biomass.
Dr. Jordan Decci. She specialized in pain management therapy for the infected. Cloak emitter installation successful. This portable version is practically identical to the mounted prototypes you've been using thus far.
Excellent. A tool like this will make it much easier to get around.
Just keep in mind that its effective range had to be reduced to achieve portability. If you move too far away from your target, the tool will deactivate.
Ah. Noted. I'm back in the lobby, proceeding to biomass containment. There's another voice-activated control panel here.
Additional security for the biomass containment area. It requires the voice authorization of a high-ranking official.
Well, we've got Dr. Harlan, right? Let's get that door open.
My authorization won't be enough. We'll need someone with higher clearance.
The research director.
After a lockdown, she'd be the only one able to enter containment.
With a large enough sample of the director's vocal modulations, I should be able to synthesize her voice.
A voice sample? I don't know, even if we could find one, I'm not sure it's fair to...
Pull up my personal archive, Juno. There's just one file there.
You're sure, Dr. Harlan?
Go on.
Beginning playback.
I'm not going to be able to change your mind, am I?
You know I wouldn't leave unless I had it.
It's okay. A kill would change everything. I'm not wrong about that. I just wish...
I know, Nora. Me too. I won't be long.
Doctor, I'm sorry, but it's not enough. We'll need more data before I can accurately synthesize the director's voice.
Echo 1, you'll need to return to the medical lab. Find Nora. If our data port is still intact, it may be our best chance of finding more voice data.
Of course. I'll head back to the med lab.
What we need. A message from the research director. It's addressed to you, Dr. Harlan.
Go ahead. Juno, get your sample.
Dr. Harlan.
We need her authorization. Just play it.
Beginning playback.
Everett?
I don't know if you'll ever find this, but I wanted to get it out before things get any worse. If you do manage to find this, well, then you know what's happened. I suppose the good news is you got the internet attack to work, which, if I'm not mistaken, means you owe me dinner. Robert, listen to me. I know you're going to try to put all this on yourself somehow. Make yourself believe there was something you'd have done had you been here. But it's not true. You understand? Don't go trying to carry that. We all knew developing a cure was virtually impossible. No one here was waiting to be saved. You're leaving. You're already doing everything you could do to try and stop this. I miss you, Everett. Be safe. I love you. Goodbye.
I'm so sorry, Harlan.
I too am sorry. It's clear you meant a great deal to one another.
She was a good person. She deserved a better resting place than this.
I believe I have enough data to synthesize the director's voice now.
Understood. I'll return to the security panel in the lobby. I'm back at the security panel. Are we sure this will work?
No, but we can try. With Dr. Harlan's permission, of course.
Do it.
This is Dr. Nora Parekh. Authorized containment access.
Juno,
Yes, Doctor?
never do that again.
I'm entering what appears to be an excavation site.
You are correct. It's the only remaining route to the biomass containment area. We should be able to find our sample there.
Acknowledged.
Is this containment area where the outbreak started?
Most likely. I'll continue parsing logs to see if I can determine what happened.
I'm sure that's not necessary.
Do it. I need to know.
Of course, Doctor.
Were these excavators being used to expand the containment area?
I can't be certain, but given the advancements made in insulation cloaking technology, I imagine they would have been trying to ramp up testing or possibly even production. Undoubtedly, that would have required taking in more samples than the facility was currently equipped to contain.
Could that be what caused the accident?
Possibly. If the research team was indeed rushing to complete work on the cloaking tech, then it is possible certain containment systems were overtaxed.
I should have been here.
Then you'd be dead too. And so would we, probably.
I assume these barriers were set up while construction was taking place.
Correct. Data files show a series of tunnels extending beyond the barriers.
The scale of these excavations seems to far exceed our mining efforts back on the Kronos 2.
Absolutely. Though, this excavation was done to leverage the asteroid's bulk as a protective layer against the biomass. Any valuable mineral extractions were merely a byproduct.
Does most of humanity have to live like this? Underground, so to speak?
For several generations now.
I'm sorry.
I'm detecting a tick up ahead.
Would my cloak emitter be effective?
I believe so. And the device's range should allow you to cloak the tick before it detects you.
Cloaking successful.
All this advanced tech, and the biomass still broke containment.
Yes. This is why eliminating the biomass is our only option.
I'm approaching a large opening. There is a conveyance system installed overhead.
That is how newly arriving containment units were transferred into main storage. Local telemetry indicates a significant biomass presence throughout the area. Containment certainly failed here.
Acknowledged. I will proceed with caution.
Good find, Jack. There's a significant quantity of data here, and I believe much of it can be used in our effort to develop a cure.
This container must have lost power at some point. Unfortunately, it appears its contents have escaped. How certain are we that a functional container is still here?
Based on the logs, one stock container arrived shortly before the lockdown.
Hopefully, it remains intact. There is an electrical transformer here. Its power field appears to be keeping all nearby biomass active.
Any chance there's a bypass hooked up to it?
Effectively? No. That subsystem has been consumed by the biomass.
Lovely.
If you can't cloak the sensors, cloak the power source.
Oh, nicely done, Jack.
That was unexpected. I'll need just a moment to further analyze the reconstructed targeting software. Ah, I see it now. The cloak emitter should be able to target power sources as well, as long as they're sufficiently compact.
Copy that. Proceeding through the web now. Is this the cargo bay?
Yes, and our containment unit is indeed intact.
I'm still prepping the intake system. Should be ready by the time the container gets here, though. I'm assuming we have what we need.
Readings show a full complement of ticks within. So, yes, Captain, we have what we need.
Is the unit safe to approach?
Yes, the container is fully powered and the insulation fields are active. Those ticks are pacified. I'll send a cargo drone to retrieve it as soon as the bay door is opened.
On it. Collecting these ticks could not have been easy.
The X3 synthetics did lose many shares in the process, but they performed their function.
A way to release the container?
That is correct.
Good eye, Jack. But best wait on that. I don't want our one and only container floating around bumping into things. Let's just focus on opening the bay door for now.
Copy that. Does this crane meet the size requirements for the cloak emitter?
Unlikely. However, I suspect it is more useful without insulation anyway.
Are these the controls for the bay door?
Correct. There should be an entrance to the control booth nearby, though I am detecting a significant biomass presence in that area.
A power transformer. Much of the nearby biomass is feeding on it. Exterior bay door open.
Copy that. We'll send over a cargo drone to retrieve the container. Shouldn't take too long.
Jack, we'll just need you to manually release the container once the drone has secured it.
Acknowledged. I'll head to the cargo bay.
surprising amount of data. Some of it's irrelevant, but a fair bit could help our efforts on a cure. Thanks, Jack.
Of course.
This is the administration area. Once past the next hallway, Jack, you'll be back in the cargo bay.
These controls are offline. Can this door be bypassed?
I'm afraid not. However, as a precaution, this area runs on a localized power grid. If you can find a way to restore that grid, the door should become operable.
In this corridor, I found another casualty. 2, in fact.
Dr. Stephen Garrick and Senior Technician Avery Park.
Seems they were left behind in the evacuation.
I doubt that. If they're here, it's probably because they chose to stay.
What do you mean?
I knew these people. Every researcher here understood what an outbreak would mean, that they would have to do whatever was necessary to try and protect the rest of the station.
A battery, probably for maintaining the local power grid. Unfortunately, this battery lacks power. There must be a recharge socket nearby. Now that this battery has a charge, it is emitting a power field. This web must be sensing the battery's power field.
Indeed. Any substantial power field will awaken all forms of biomass from dormancy.
Nicely done. Starting to get a feel for that cloak emitter, are we, Jack?
It is quite effective.
That is indisputable at this point. And it has brought us that much closer to a cure. For that alone, we should be grateful.
I've nearly made it back to the cargo bay.
Good to hear, Jack. The drone should be there shortly.
Jack, the cargo drone will be unable to retrieve the container until it's released from the loading pallet. There should be a release mechanism near the container.
Container released.
Confirmed. Container primed for departure.
It will need to be hooked up once it gets here, Jack. Care to give it the final touch?
I believe I would, yes. I doubt the procedure will take long.
Okay then. See you in a few.
Container departing in T minus 10 seconds.
Better grab on or stay clear, Jack.
Jack, if you're planning on accompanying the container, now would be a good time to take hold. Cargo drone is departing in 3, 2, 1. Igniting thrusters. Jack, I hope you don't mind. I've switched us to another comms channel for a moment. I have a somewhat personal question to ask you. Do you mind?
Go ahead, Juno.
Captain Rhodes, she considers you a friend, yes?
Yes, that is correct.
How do you know?
In the time I have known Captain Rhodes, she has consistently demonstrated behaviors that suggest she values my company, trusts my insights, and harbors a great concern for my overall well-being.
I see.
Why do you ask?
I'm trying to discern if Dr. Harlan considers me a friend. Biometrics indicate he is still experiencing some distress, but I'm unsure if it would be appropriate for me to console him. What is your assessment?
I find Dr. Harlan difficult to fully understand. His personality differs significantly from that of Captain Rhodes. He may express his regard in a different fashion.
He does refer to me by name, a behavior he does not extend to you. Perhaps that is a positive indicator.
Perhaps.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate your insight. Wait, did we just become friends?
I suppose we did.
Splendid. I'll return comms to the public channel now. Cargo inbound to destination. Decreasing speed for final descent.
Looking good, Cowboy Jack. Steady as she goes. Hookup controls are over near the cargo clamps.
Container in place and ready to be secured.
Go ahead, Jack.
Biomass containers secured in place.